The massive space station hummed with nervous energy as hundreds of alien beings gathered in the great crystal chamber. Ships from across the galaxy had arrived for this moment. For 43 years, Earth had said no to every invitation. Earth was different. Earth was dangerous. Earth was classified as Deathworld 12, the highest threat level in all of known space. Commander Vex stood near the viewing window, his 6 arms adjusting controls on his protective suit. His blue skin glistened with worry sweat. "All shields are ready," he reported to his superior. "Medical teams are waiting with emergency supplies." The other aliens in the chamber whispered among themselves. The tall, thin Arcturians clicked their insect-like mouths together. The rock-like Rigelians shifted their heavy stone bodies nervously. Even the floating gas beings from Proxima had compressed themselves into tighter clouds of worry. "What do you think they will send?" asked Ambassador TSS, her tentacles curling with anxiety. "Their worst killer? Their strongest warrior?" "I heard Earth creatures are covered in metal armor," whispered another alien. "They breathe poison gas and eat molten rock." No, said a third. "My cousin works in the intelligence division. He says Earth beings have laser weapons built into their bodies. They can shoot death rays from their eyes." Commander Vex checked his instruments again. The Earth ship was coming closer. Soon it would dock with their station. Soon they would meet their first human. The docking bay was ready for war. Energy barriers could stop the strongest attacks. Containment fields could trap the most dangerous prisoner. Medical scanners could detect any biological weapon. Security drones floated in the air, their weapons ready but not aimed yet. "Atmospheric analysis complete," announced the station computer. "Earth ship contains standard oxygen-nitrogen mixture. No toxic gases detected." That was strange. Everyone knew Earth beings breathed poison. Energy weapons scan complete. No weapons detected. That was even stranger. Everyone knew Earth beings were walking weapons. Biological threats scan complete. No dangerous organisms detected. The aliens looked at each other in confusion. Maybe Earth technology was so advanced their scanners could not detect it. The airlock began to cycle open. Red warning lights flashed. Emergency systems activated. The aliens held their breath or whatever they did instead of breathing. Steam hissed from the opening door. A figure appeared in the mist. The assembled aliens stared in complete confusion. The creature that stepped out was not wearing metal armor. It was not carrying laser weapons. It was not breathing poison gas or shooting death rays from its eyes. Instead, it was wearing what looked like rubber sandals that made soft slapping sounds on the metal floor. Its legs were covered with loose brown fabric that looked old and wrinkled. Its upper body was covered with a thin cloth that had some kind of picture on it. In one hand, it held what appeared to be food on a stick. The creature looked around the docking bay with calm interest, like someone visiting a new place for the first time. It took a bite of the food and chewed slowly. "Hi," the creature said, raising its free hand in a small wave. "I'm looking for the council meeting. Also, do you guys know where I can get more mustard? This corn dog is kind of dry." The security drones continued hovering, their targeting systems unable to understand what they were looking at. The medical scanners beeped in confusion. The containment fields hummed uselessly. Commander Vex stared at his readings. According to every instrument they had, this was just an ordinary biological creature. No enhancements, no weapons, no armor, no technology more advanced than the simple clothing it wore. But that was impossible. This was a being from Earth. Earth was the most dangerous planet in known space. The creatures there lived in conditions that would kill anything else in the galaxy. They had evolved in constant danger, constant struggle, constant death. The human took another bite of its food and waited patiently for someone to answer. "Creature," Commander Vex finally said, his voice shaking through his suit speakers. "Where is your battle gear? Where are your weapons? Where is your protection?" The human looked down at itself, then back at Commander Vex. "Protection from what? It's pretty safe in here. Nice temperature control too." "But you are from Earth," said Ambassador Tez, her tentacles trembling. "Earth is a death world. How do you survive without enhancements?" The human shrugged. "I don't know. I just live there. It's home, you know. I mean, Sol can be pretty busy, but you get used to it." The aliens exchanged worried glances. This creature was speaking as if living on a death world was normal. As if surviving in conditions that would kill them was just part of daily life. "Are you perhaps not their strongest warrior?" asked another alien hopefully. "Maybe Earth sent you as a test?" "Strongest warrior?" The human laughed. "Me? No way. I'm probably one of the weakest people I know. I work at a convenience store." "Well worked. I got laid off last month. That's why I was available for this job. The laughter was somehow more terrifying than any battle cry would have been. The human finished its corn dog and looked around for somewhere to throw the stick. Finding nothing, it just held onto it and continued waiting politely for someone to show it where to go. Commander Vex realized with growing horror that this was not Earth's most dangerous representative. This was Earth's most ordinary one. And it was already more terrifying than anything they had prepared for. The council chamber had been changed for this meeting. Thick energy walls separated the human from everyone else. Air cleaners worked at full power. Medical robots watched every move the human made. Most of the alien representatives sat as far away as possible, even with all the protection. Hyun sat in a special chair behind the energy barrier, looking around with interest. He had finished his corn dog and was now drinking something from a small bottle he had pulled from his bag. The liquid was clear and he seemed to enjoy it. Ambassador Krell spoke first, his voice coming through speakers in his protective armor. Human creature, where is your real representative? Surely Earth would not send someone so unprotected to such an important meeting. Hyun wiped his mouth with the back of his hand. I'm the real guy. Lee Hyun from Seoul. Well, I grew up in Busan but I moved to Seoul for college and just stayed. I studied philosophy, which wasn't very useful for getting jobs, but it was interesting. He paused to take another drink. Actually, this seemed like pretty cool temporary work. Better than stocking shelves at the convenience store. A wave of confused whispers went through the chamber. The alien representatives looked at each other with growing concern. The tall Regelian ambassador leaned forward in his heavy armor. You speak of temporary work in philosophy. What about Earth's military? What about your combat training? What modifications has your species made to survive on such a dangerous world? Combat training? Hyun scratched his head, looking puzzled. I mean, I took Taekwondo when I was a kid, but I wasn't very good at it. My friend Minho goes to the gym a lot. He's pretty strong. And my cousin Woojin is in the military. He seems to like it. The air cleaning systems worked harder as several aliens began breathing heavily. Ambassador Glix leaned forward, his voice crackling through his breathing mask. You mention work. What kind of work do you do on this Deathworld? Oh, different things. I worked nights at a 24-hour store near the university district. You know, selling snacks and drinks to college students. They get pretty wild on weekends. Hyun smiled at the memory. Before that I did some translation work, Korean to English mostly. And I drove for a delivery company for a while. Delivery company? The translator had trouble with the concept. Yeah, you know, people order food or packages and you take it to them. It was okay work, but I had to quit after I got hit by a car. The chamber became completely silent. Several medical alarms started beeping as alien heart rates spiked. Ambassador Tvss spoke carefully. You were struck by a vehicle? And you survived. Oh yeah, it wasn't too bad. The driver felt really bad about it. He bought me dinner afterward. We went to this great barbecue place. Hyun noticed the stairs. I mean, it wasn't going that fast. Maybe 40 kilometers per hour. Knocked me right off my bike though. I had some bruises on my arm for a week. Commander Vex quietly activated his emergency medical system. His readings showed that a 40 km per hour impact would crush most known life forms. The barbecue place was really good, Hyun continued. They had this spicy pork that reminded me of home. My mom makes amazing bulgogi. She uses this special sauce recipe from my grandmother. Your mother cooks for you? Asked another alien, confused. Well, when I visit home, yeah. She worries I don't eat enough vegetables living on my own. She's probably right. I eat a lot of instant food. Hyun held up his bottle. Like this energy drink. I know it's not healthy, but it tastes good. Ambassador Krell consulted his data pad quickly. What ingredients are in that beverage? Let me see. Hyun looked at the label. Water, sugar, caffeine, some vitamins. Taurine. Some other stuff I can't pronounce. The Proximan delegate made a choking sound. His translator worked frantically. Taurine is used in industrial cleaning. Caffeine is a mild poison. How much do you consume? This is my second one today. I usually have maybe 3 or 4 on days when I'm tired. Hyun shrugged. My sister Eunji drinks way more coffee than I do. She's a teacher, so she needs the energy to deal with kids all day. The medical scanners were now beeping continuously as they detected the various substances in Hyun's system that should have been harmful to any living being. You have a sister who works with children? Ambassador Teosis asked weakly. Yeah, elementary school. She's great with kids. Really patient. Way tougher than me too. She runs marathons for fun. Says it helps her relax. The concept of running 26 miles for relaxation was so alien that several translators simply gave up and displayed error messages. What other family do you have? Commander Vex asked, though he wasn't sure he wanted to know. My parents still live in Busan. Dad works at the shipyard, Mom works at a hospital. Pretty normal stuff. My cousin Wu Jin is finishing his military service soon. He's a Marine. Really strong guy. Could probably lift a car if he wanted to. The phrase lift a car caused 3 different species to activate their emergency protocols. Oh, and my friend Doon just finished her PhD. She's way smarter than me. Speaks like 5 languages. She wants to be a diplomat or something. Hyun smiled. She'd probably be better at this job than me, but she's busy with job interviews. As the aliens processed this information, they began to realize something terrifying. This human wasn't describing himself as special or unusual. He was describing himself as completely ordinary. Average. Normal. And if this was what humans considered normal, what were their exceptional individuals like? The thought was almost too frightening to consider. The diplomatic dinner had been planned for weeks. The aliens had prepared special foods that they thought would be safe for the humans' delicate biology. They had tested everything 3 times to make sure nothing would hurt him. The best chefs from 12 different worlds had worked together to create meals that any species could eat safely. Hyun looked at the long table covered with colorful dishes and smiled. This looks great. Thanks for going to all this trouble. Instead of waiting for the specially prepared human food, he began trying everything on the table. He picked up a bright purple fruit that the Betelgeuse ambassador recognized with horror. Wait, Ambassador Zorth called out. That fruit is only for ceremonial purposes. It contains mild toxins that represent the bitterness of past conflicts. Hyun took a big bite and chewed thoughtfully. It's actually pretty good. Kind of sweet and sour. Reminds me of the pickled radish my grandmother makes. She grows her own vegetables in her garden. The Betelgeuse's 3 eyes widened in shock. That fruit would give most species severe stomach problems for days. Your grandmother grows food? Asked Ambassador Tesis, trying to change the subject from the fact that the human was casually eating poison. Oh yeah, she has this big garden behind her house. Grows all kinds of stuff. Peppers, garlic, onions. She makes the spiciest kimchi in the neighborhood. Hyun reached for another dish. This one smells interesting. Commander Vex watched in fascination and terror as the human ate things that would hospitalize most of the galaxy. How is your digestive system handling these substances? Pretty well. I have a strong stomach. Once I ate street food in Bangkok that made me feel a little sick the next day, but nothing too serious. Hyun picked up his drinking glass. Is this alcohol? It tastes different from Korean soju. That is ethyl alcohol mixed with purified water, squeaked the Proximan delegate. It is used for cleaning medical equipment. Yeah, alcohol. We drink it for fun back home. This is pretty mild actually. My uncle can drink way more than this. Hyun finished the entire glass in one gulp. Not bad. A little sweet. Several aliens quietly activated their emergency medical protocols, expecting the human to collapse from alcohol poisoning. Instead he just reached for more food. The spice level on this is perfect, Hyun said, eating what looked like flaming orange paste. My friend Junho loves spicy food. He puts hot sauce on everything. Even ice cream sometimes, which is weird, but he likes it. The orange paste was made from volcanic minerals and was supposed to represent the fires of war. It was so spicy that it was considered barely edible by the species that created it. The emergency alarms chose that exact moment to start screaming. Red warning lights flashed throughout the chamber as the station's computer announced, "Critical system failure in Atmospheric Processing Unit 7. All personnel must evacuate immediately. Repeat, critical system failure. Evacuation required." The alien delegates began moving toward the emergency exits in orderly fashion, their various life support systems beeping warnings. In the confusion, a heavy maintenance robot sparked and crashed down from the ceiling, pinning a Centaurian technician underneath its metal frame. While the other aliens called for emergency rescue teams and tried to figure out how to safely move the several 100-kilogram machine, Hyun simply stood up from his chair. "Hey, are you okay under there?" he asked the trapped technician. The Centaurian made distressed noises and tried to push against the robot, but it was far too heavy. Hyun walked over and grabbed the robot's metal frame with both hands. Without any visible effort, he lifted the entire machine and tossed it aside like it weighed nothing at all. The robot crashed into the wall with a loud bang. "There you go," Hyun said, helping the shocked technician to his feet. "You should probably get that arm looked at. Looks like you scraped it pretty good." The Centaurian stared up at Hyun in complete amazement, speaking rapid Centaurian that the universal translator turned into grateful but confused thank yous. No problem, Hyun replied. My buddy Taemin works construction. He lifts heavy stuff all the time. Steel beams, concrete blocks, you name it. He says it's good exercise. As the emergency systems came back online and the crisis passed, the assembled delegates found themselves staring at the human who had just treated their major emergency like a minor inconvenience. He had lifted machinery that should have required specialized equipment, and he had done it while still holding a piece of fruit in one hand. How much weight can your species lift? Commander Vex asked weakly. I don't know exactly. I'm not that strong compared to other people. My sister Unji can do way more push-ups than me. And my cousin who's in the Marines can probably lift twice as much. Hyun shrugged. I mostly just did basic exercise in college. Nothing serious. He walked back to the table and sat down, immediately returning to his meal as if nothing had happened. The food is getting cold, he observed, taking another bite of the toxic ceremonial fruit. This purple stuff is really growing on me. Do you think I could get the recipe? My mom would love to try making something like this. The aliens looked at each other with growing understanding. This human had just demonstrated physical strength that exceeded their most advanced mechanical systems. He had consumed substances that would kill most known life forms. And he was treating it all as perfectly normal. The most terrifying part was not what he had done. The most terrifying part was how casually he had done it, and how he kept insisting that other humans were much stronger than he was. If this was what Earth considered weak, what were their strong ones capable of? None of them were sure they wanted to find out. 3 hours after the emergency, the council met in a smaller, more secure room. Every alien representative had spent the time talking to their scientists, military experts, and doctors back home. The answers they got were all the same, and they were all terrifying. Ambassador Tethys stood at the front of the room, her tentacles shaking as she held her data pad. We have completed our analysis of today's events. If this human represents a normal example of his species, we need to change everything we thought we knew about Earth. The large screen behind her lit up with charts and numbers. Human biological data appeared in bright red next to the galactic averages in blue. The difference was shocking. Look at the muscle density, Tethys continued, her voice getting quieter. Look at the bone strength. Look at how their immune system works. Look at what they can eat without dying. Commander Vex pulled up military files on his personal screen. Our war planner spent years preparing for this contact. We thought Earth would send super soldiers with robot parts and genetic improvements. We prepared for metal armor and laser weapons. We did not prepare for this. What exactly is this? Asked Ambassador Krell, adjusting his protective suit nervously. A species that doesn't need improvements, Vex answered slowly. Their normal biology is stronger than our enhanced soldiers. They drink poison for fun. They survive impacts that would kill most of us instantly. They lift weights that we need machines to move. The Regelian delegate accessed his intelligence files. According to our information, this Hyun was described by his own government as completely normal. Not a soldier, not an athlete, not enhanced in any way. A philosophy student who worked in retail and delivered food. And he treats our emergency like everyday maintenance, whispered Ambassador Glix, his breathing apparatus working harder. What does his species consider a real problem? The room's life support systems hummed louder as several delegates needed more atmospheric assistance to deal with their stress. There is more disturbing information, TOSS said, changing the display. He mentioned family members. A sister in their military reserves. A friend who works construction. A cousin in their Marines. According to his descriptions, these individuals are stronger than him. The meaning of this settled over the room like a dark cloud. Ambassador Zorth spoke up from his corner. We have been thinking about this wrong. We assumed Earth would send their best warriors to intimidate us. But they did not send their best. They sent their average. What do you mean? Asked another delegate. Think about it. This Hyun described himself as weak compared to other humans. He said his sister is tougher. He said his construction worker friend is stronger. He said his military cousin can lift cars. Zorth's 3 eyes blinked rapidly. We are not dealing with Earth's elite forces. We are dealing with Earth's ordinary citizens. The implications were staggering. If ordinary humans were already beyond anything the galaxy could produce, what were their actual warriors like? Commander Vex brought up more data. I have been reviewing Earth's classification as a Deathworld 12. We assign this rating because of the planet's dangerous conditions. High gravity, toxic atmosphere, extreme weather, violent geological activity. Yes, said Ambassador Tichuss. We assumed any species that could survive there would need artificial enhancements. But we were wrong, Vex continued. They do not survive there despite being weak. They survive there because they are strong. The dangerous conditions did not require them to build better technology. The dangerous conditions made them into better organisms. The room fell silent as everyone processed this information. Look at the data again, Vex said, highlighting sections of the display. Humans can survive in temperature ranges that would kill most species. They can eat substances that are toxic to others. They can function in atmospheric conditions that require us to wear protective suits. They breathe an oxygen-nitrogen mixture that would burn our lungs, added Ambassador Glix. They drink water that contains minerals we consider poisonous, said another delegate. They live under gravitational force that would crush most of our bones, said a third. Ambassador Tichuss looked at her notes. During the dinner, Hyun mentioned that he lived in a city called Seoul. Our preliminary research shows this city has over 9 million inhabitants, all living in close proximity, all breathing that toxic atmosphere, all dealing with that crushing gravity. 9 million, whispered Commander Vex. That is more trained soldiers than most of our worlds have in total population. And they are not soldiers, Jesus reminded them. They are ordinary citizens living ordinary lives. Working, studying, raising families. The Betelgeuse ambassador spoke for the first time. I have been consulting with our xenobiologists. They believe humans may not even realize how dangerous they are to us. Their casual behavior suggests they have no understanding of how their biology compares to ours. Which makes them even more dangerous, said Krell. An enemy who knows they are strong will be careful with their strength. An enemy who thinks they are weak will not hold back. They are not our enemies, TSS said quickly. That is the point. If they were our enemies we would already be dead. The room fell quiet again as they considered what this meant for galactic politics, trade relationships and military planning. So what do we do? Asked Ambassador Glix finally. Commander Vex looked around the room at his fellow delegates. We do everything we can to make sure they remain friendly. Because if a species like this ever decided we were a threat. He did not need to finish the sentence. Everyone understood. They had spent decades fearing first contact with Earth because they thought humans would be dangerous warriors. They had been right to be afraid but for completely wrong reasons. Humans were not dangerous because they were warriors. They were dangerous because they did not need to be warriors. They were already something much more frightening than that. They were just naturally, casually, accidentally unstoppable. 1 week later, the council gathered for their final meeting with the human. During those 7 days, military strategists across the galaxy had rewritten their threat assessments. Diplomatic protocols had been completely changed. Emergency procedures had been updated. Some smaller governments had quietly increased their defense budgets by 300%. Hyun sat in the same chair he had occupied all week, still wearing the same flip-flops and casual clothes. He was working on what the food vendor had counted as his 9th corn dog since the meetings began. The vendor had given up trying to understand how one being could eat so much processed food and had just set up a permanent cart outside the chamber. So, Hyun of Earth, began the council speaker, choosing his words very carefully. We find ourselves in a situation we have never faced before. Your species has abilities that go far beyond what we thought was possible for natural biology. Okay, Hyun nodded, chewing thoughtfully. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I can't really tell from your tone. The council speaker paused. Even after a week of interaction, the human's casual attitude toward everything continued to be unsettling. We believe it is a good thing. The council would like to offer you a permanent position as cultural liaison between Earth and the galactic community. The compensation is quite substantial, and the work involves helping us understand your people better. Hyun finished his corn dog and considered this while wiping mustard from his fingers. That sounds pretty interesting. I mean, I wasn't really doing anything else anyway. My apartment lease runs out next month, and I haven't found another job yet. He paused. What kind of understanding did you need exactly? I'm pretty average for a Korean guy. That phrase had become a source of nightmares for intelligence agencies across 12 star systems. Basic cultural information, the speaker continued carefully. How your people live, what they consider normal, how they handle daily challenges. Sure, I can do that. But you might want to talk to other people too. I only know about life in Korea, and Earth has lots of different countries. Hyun brightened with an idea. Actually, I know some people who would be perfect for this kind of work. Every alien in the room tensed up. My friend Dawoon just finished her PhD in international relations. She's way smarter than me and speaks 5 languages fluently. She's been looking for work in diplomacy. The translator had trouble with the concept of someone being way smarter than a human who already seemed impossibly capable. And my cousin Wu Jin will be finishing his military service in a few months. He's been a Marine for 3 years. Really good with people, and he's learned a lot about different cultures from working with international forces. Several delegates quietly activated their emergency communication systems to warn their home governments about the possibility of meeting an actual human soldier. My sister Eunji would probably love this too, Hyun continued enthusiastically. She teaches elementary school, so she's really good at explaining complicated things in simple ways. Plus she's way tougher than me. She runs marathons and does obstacle course races for fun. The phrase, way tougher than me, had become the most frightening combination of words in the galactic vocabulary. We should probably start with just you for now, the speaker managed to say. Until we better understand the cultural exchange process. That makes sense, Hyun agreed. Start small and see how it goes. Though I should probably mention that my mom wants to visit if this works out. She's curious about space travel, and she worries about me not eating enough vegetables. The thought of meeting someone who had raised a human was terrifying on multiple levels. Your mother raised you? Asked Ambassador TSS weakly. Yeah, her and my dad. Pretty normal childhood. Dad worked at the shipyard, Mom worked as a nurse at the hospital. They made sure I studied hard and stayed out of trouble. Hyun smiled at the memory. Mom's cooking is amazing. She could probably teach your food service people some great recipes. The aliens exchanged panicked glances at the idea of human food preparation techniques. We'll arrange for proper living quarters and a work schedule, the speaker said quickly, wanting to move away from discussions of Hyun's apparently superhuman family members. Thanks. This has been really cool, Hyun said, standing up and stretching. Way more interesting than philosophy seminars or working at the convenience store. I'm looking forward to learning more about all your different cultures too. As he gathered his few belongings, including the backpack that their scanners had determined was constructed from materials capable of stopping armor-piercing ammunition, the delegates sat in stunned silence. Oh, I should probably send a message to my family, Hyun said casually. Let them know I got the job. My sister will be excited. She's always said I should try working with international people. He waved goodbye to the assembled representatives with the same cheerful manner he had shown all week. See you tomorrow. Should I bring anything special? Food, drinks? No, the speaker said quickly. We'll provide everything you need. As Hyun left the chamber, his flip-flops making their familiar slapping sound against the metal floor, the delegates remained in their seats, processing what had just happened. They had made first contact with a species so naturally formidable that their unemployed philosophy majors qualified as walking disasters. Their casual laborers possessed strength that exceeded military hardware. Their ordinary citizens survived in conditions that would require the galaxy's best technology to endure. And somehow, the most terrifying part was how completely unaware they seemed to be of any of this. The council speaker made a final note in the official record. Recommend immediate establishment of permanent human dietary services and comprehensive revision of all existing threat assessment protocols. Also recommend that all future human cultural exchanges be limited to one individual at a time. The age of human galactic relations had begun, and nobody was quite sure if the galaxy was ready for it.